Imagine overcoming the most difficult obstacles in life: pain, loss, and uncertainty, and still succeeding. Not getting by, but flourishing. This is about something that may transform your life right now, not merely about historical events or vanished philosophical ideas. I am referring to the idea of Stoicism, which has the ability to turn your worries into courage and your hardships into strengths. It's a way of life that can assist you in navigating the turbulence of contemporary life with grace and wisdom rather than a magic pill. Consider this: in a society that continuously strives to push you in the direction of unending wants and instant satisfaction, what if I told you that the secret to true pleasure is to embrace simplicity, cultivate thankfulness, and pay attention to the things you can control? Great leaders, thinkers, and even emperors have utilized this tried and true philosophy to lead important lives. It's not simply another self-help gimmick. So stay put if you've ever felt disoriented, overburdened, or simply inquisitive about leading a fulfilling life. Together, we will delve into the core of Stoicism and reveal the keys to living a meaningful life. Secrets left for us to discover by Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius. I promise you that this trip might be the pivotal moment you've been looking for. I simply ask that you refrain from in any way skipping this video. Think of yourself as distinct from the majority if you are here. Think of oneself as unique. Act as a unit now, and don't miss any of the information. In a society where possessions are frequently used to gauge success rather than contributions, Marcus Aurelius is a shining example of genuine leadership. Imagine yourself as the most powerful guy in the world, able to enjoy every luxury and pleasure without hesitation or second thought. However, Marcus made a decision that was far different from what one might anticipate from a person of his caliber in the face of one of the worst crises of his era, a pandemic that threatened to destroy a large chunk of his kingdom. He made a brave but humble move rather than withdrawing into the comforts of his palace, surrounded by riches and extravagance. He started selling off his personal belongings, which included priceless items that served as both divine and imperial authority emblems. This wasn't just a token act, rather, it was a lifesaver for a society on the verge of collapse, a community that held him in high regard for his compassion, hope, and leadership. This unselfish deed is a striking example of Stoicism in action. For Marcus, Stoicism, a philosophy that emphasizes the qualities of discernment, bravery, justice, and temperance, was a way of living rather than merely a theoretical framework. Marcus personified the Stoic ideal that genuine wealth is found in living a life of virtue and service to others, rather than in material things, by putting the needs of his people before his own comfort. However, Marcus Aurelius was not the first thinker to support these principles. Think about Aristotle, who felt that leading a life filled with virtue and reason is the key to achieving ultimate happiness. He maintained that living a life that goes beyond simple pleasure or financial gain and making a positive contribution to the community are the paths to true contentment. In a similar vein, Plato stressed the significance of the philosopher king, a leader who, under the guidance of justice and knowledge, prioritizes the needs of the people and the state over his personal interests. When we prioritize people, particularly during difficult circumstances, we go beyond simply giving them financial assistance. We provide a feeling of common humanity, optimism, and camaraderie. Marcus Aurelius epitomizes a leadership style that is based on empathy, selflessness, and a strong dedication to the welfare of the community, rather than power or intimidation. Have you ever reached a brick wall and felt as though there is no way out? It's a typical occurrence that might leave us feeling helpless, stuck, and frustrated. However, what if I told you that this emotion, despite its universality, can be changed for the better? Here is where Marcus Aurelius's wisdom reveals a profound truth. As one door shuts, another opens. Along with other Stoic philosophers like Epictetus and Seneca, Marcus Aurelius emphasized that although life is full of challenges, these challenges do not mean that the journey is over. Rather, they present chances for development, reorientation, and the exploration of novel routes. Fundamentally, Stoicism is about realizing that although we may not be able to control the things that happen to us, we are always in charge of how we react to them. This Stoic notion is revolutionary because it forces us to modify the way we see obstacles, from seeing them as roadblocks to seeing them as opportunities for growth. It's about accepting that there's always an alternative, a different route we could go. This does not imply that the other route will be simple or uncomplicated. At times, we might need to delve deeply, use our imagination, or discover talents and abilities we never knew we possessed. Let's examine the knowledge of other luminaries in Western psychology and philosophy. The Stoic view of difficulties is in line with Aristotle's statement: the aim of art is to represent not the outward appearance of things, but their inward significance. Our experience is defined by the meaning we give it and the responses we have to it, not by the external barrier. Socrates encourages us to critically examine our own views about the challenges we confront through his questioning style. By challenging our presumptions, we can find fresh approaches and solutions that our first feelings and reactions obscured. This Stoic lesson that there is always another route available is about more than merely getting past obstacles. It's about realizing that the obstacles we face in life are essential to the trip. They mold us, put us to the test, and help us reach our greatest potential. It serves as a reminder that we always have a choice in how we react to events, rather than what happens to us. It's simple to get sucked into the pattern of fantasizing, planning, and thinking about our next big move in life. We frequently catch ourselves waiting for the ideal time to begin a project, make a change, or follow our dreams. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us, in a very straightforward way, of a fundamental truth: knowing is not enough, action is required. This is about taking proactive measures to make plans a reality, not just about having intentions and making plans. Progress is hampered by procrastination. Stoicism is centered on the idea of acting, of taking small steps toward our objectives. The Stoics advocated living in harmony with nature, which includes accepting our inherent capacity for thought, planning, and action. In addition to being a philosopher, Marcus Aurelius was also an emperor and a ruler who had to decide what to do and how to do it for millions of people. His remarks, which come from experience, serve as a reminder that thoughts alone will not get us where we need to go in order to realize our full potential. How, though, do we get past the inertia that prevents us? From imagining to doing, how do we get there? A guidance is provided by the Stoic discipline of action. Start small, but start now. The teachings of other renowned psychologists and thinkers also reflect this idea. The classic quote from Aristotle reads, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit. This quote highlights the importance of making tiny, steady progress toward our objectives. Our character and existence are defined by the little things we do every day, not by the big gestures we do. Plato taught us the value of coordinating our actions with our ideals and values through his dialogues. He held that correct behavior follows from accurate knowledge. This is consistent with the Stoic emphasis on leading a morally upright life. We get closer to the perfect existence that Plato envisioned when we make decisions that are consistent with our deepest aspirations. As Marcus Aurelius suggests, taking things one step at a time means accepting the process of personal development and advancement with endurance and patience. It's about realizing that every significant trip does, in fact, start with one step. The secret is to begin and then to keep going, one step at a time, whether we're writing a book, making improvements to our health, or trying to make the world a better place. we're frequently left with our thoughts, feelings, and, for a lot of us, fears during the quiet times in life when the bustle fades away. Marcus Aurelius had a crucial epiphany during these moments. Worry originates internally, not from the outside environment. This realization is a fundamental component of Stoic philosophy, reminding us that anxiety is mostly a decision and that genuine serenity originates from within. It is not merely a personal epiphany. Stoicism pushes us to concentrate on the things we can influence. The Stoic school holds that although we may not be able to influence outside forces, we do have control over our thoughts, perceptions, and behaviors. This way of looking at things gives us the ability to let go of unneeded concerns and develop inner serenity independent of the outside world. However, how can we put this lesson into practice in our daily lives? How do we let go of fear and achieve real freedom? First, it's critical to understand that anxiety frequently results from our attempt to control the uncontrollable, such as worrying about the future or worrying about how other people will see us. Marcus Aurelius tells us that these worries are outside of our control and shouldn't be a source of worry or disruption to our tranquility. Plato highlighted the significance of understanding oneself and proposed that genuine knowledge results in self-mastery. We can find the underlying reasons of our concern and take rational, well-reasoned action toward them by being aware of our thoughts and feelings. Socrates promoted the studied life, contending that life is not worth living if it is lived without reflection. We can examine our worries and change our relationship with them by questioning their veracity. As the Stoics teach, letting go of anxiety requires a change in viewpoint. It means letting go of our attachment to external factors and concentrating on our reactions instead. This isn't about suppressing or rejecting our emotions. Rather, it's about viewing them objectively and making the decision not to allow them to disturb our tranquility. Getting off to a good start in the morning can influence the entire day. Marcus Aurelius was acutely aware of this. Even with his great authority and responsibility, Marcus dedicated himself to daily rituals that centered him and got him ready for the day. Rather than being forced to wake up early, he chose to do so because he wanted to begin his day with intention. He utilized journaling as a tool to make sure his thoughts and actions matched his ideals, in addition to using it as a way to reflect. The goal of this methodical approach to mornings was to make sure that every day started with intention rather than following strict timetables. The proverb "well begun is half done" serves as a reminder of how crucial it is to begin our assignments, endeavors, and even days in a way that positions us for success. This idea endures, as evidenced by the insights of several other philosophers and psychologists throughout history. Aristotle previously emphasized the importance of habits in forming our personalities and lives. Excellence, in his opinion, was a habit more than an act. By starting our days with rituals that demonstrate our dedication to excellence, we develop the habits that lead to a moral and satisfying existence. Little, regular acts that we perform every day define us more than large gestures. We learned about the world of forms from Plato, where everything has an ideal counterpart. Even while we could fall short of that ideal, the pursuit of it is what makes us human. Setting specific goals for the day is similar to orienting ourselves toward our ideal selves and making an effort to improve every day. We take charge of our lives when we greet each day with intention. We create a good atmosphere that permeates all we do. We check that our daily behaviors are consistent with our top goals and values by reminding ourselves of what really matters. A careful balance between self-discipline and empathy for others is necessary to successfully navigate the path of personal development. Marcus Aurelius's teachings, which stress the need of being forgiving to others while being severe with oneself, aptly capture this balance. This Stoic principle emphasizes the need of self-control by asking us to accept accountability for our deeds, thoughts, and personal development rather than placing our demands on other people. It is true that developing self-discipline is a solitary process. It's a personal commitment to keep the higher standards we set for ourselves, to pursue self-control with tenacity, and to always aim for personal development. This has nothing to do with being hard on ourselves or unforgiving of ourselves. Instead, it's about realizing our capacity for development and consciously striving to become one step closer to our ideal selves each day. What Marcus Aurelius taught, he put into practice. His contemplations, recorded in his meditations, show a man devoted to introspection, morality, and the search for knowledge. He realized that real development originates internally, and that, by doing and thinking with discipline, we might develop virtue, peace, and fortitude. Other notable philosophers and psychologists have taught similar self-discipline and stoicism. According to Aristotle, virtue is the middle ground between two extremes that is attained via habit. He felt that we may cultivate an exceptional character by always selecting the right path. Using this to self-discipline, it means striving for growth while being aware of our boundaries and striking a balance between excess and deficiency. Marcus Aurelius recommended being stern with oneself, but this is not the same as punishment or deprivation. It's about recognizing our potential for growth, holding ourselves to a higher standard, and taking the required actions to reach our full potential. It's about making decisions that, even in the face of hardship or sacrifice, are consistent with our core beliefs. However, Marcus's counsel to be forgiving of others serves as a reminder of the value of compassion, empathy, and understanding. It recognizes that each person is traveling on their own path, encountering unique obstacles, and picking up unique lessons. By concentrating on our own development without placing our expectations on others, we develop self-control, as well as compassion and an appreciation for the various routes that individuals choose within the complex web of interpersonal connections. It's unavoidable to run against challenging individuals. It's a universal problem that can try our tolerance, disturb our tranquility, and occasionally incite anger. Marcus Aurelius, however, presents a paradigm-shifting viewpoint on this difficulty. Rather than viewing challenging individuals as simply roadblocks, he saw them as chances to develop, and put Stoic characteristics like kindness, understanding, and patience into practice. This strategy focuses on an interior path towards self-mastery and personal improvement, rather than just managing relationships on the outside. Stoicism tells us that we are in charge of how we respond to outside circumstances, including how we interact with other people. Marcus Aurelius stressed that we shouldn't let other people's behavior control our emotions or upset our inner tranquility. Rather, we should see dealing with challenging individuals as an opportunity to fortify our resolve, live out the values that Stoicism values, and rise above small grievances or irritations. This does not imply supporting bad behavior or putting up with mistreatment. It entails deciding on a course of action that is consistent with our ideals and dedication to personal greatness. The shadow self was first proposed by Carl Jung, who postulated that the characteristics we find objectionable in other people frequently represent aspects of ourselves that we haven't come to terms with. We can use interactions with challenging people as opportunities for introspection and personal development if we can identify this projection, acknowledging the complete range of our humanity. Marcus Aurelius encourages us to improve our relationships and how we handle difficult circumstances by not taking offense at individuals and instead viewing them as opportunities to cultivate Stoic qualities. It inspires us to develop a deeper sense of tolerance, generosity, and understanding by pushing past the fleeting inclination of resentment. This route results in a richer, more moral existence, in addition to more harmonious relationships. In the contemporary world, characterized by rapidity, incessant duties, notifications, and demands on our time, Marcus Aurelius's inquiry, "Is this essential?" becomes not just pertinent, but crucial. This question points us in the direction of a meaningful and purposeful life by encouraging us to stop, think, and separate the important from the unnecessary. Marcus promoted living a life guided by the clarity of one's own internal principles rather than the chaos of external expectations. He championed the idea of concentrating on what really important. This Stoic idea of setting priorities and focusing on what matters most is a useful guide for overcoming the challenges of modern life. Several brilliant minds in Western philosophy and psychology have repeated the wisdom of concentrating on what matters throughout history. The ideal middle ground between two extremes, one of excess and the other of deficiency, is known as the golden mean, according to Aristotle. By implementing this idea to our everyday decisions and commitments, we are able to strike a balance between the extremes of overcommitment and indifference and pursue the things that are necessary for our happiness and well-being. The pursuit of the good, the true, and the beautiful ideas that ought to influence our deeds and decisions was stressed by Plato. We can connect our lives with these higher standards and make sure that our activities lead to our ultimate aims of wisdom, virtue, and beauty by asking ourselves if anything is vital. Going deep into the human psyche, Carl Jung emphasized the process of individuation, becoming who we really are. Focusing on the important things helps us to cut through the layers of superficial needs and society expectations, bringing us closer to our true selves and the individual paths that each of us is destined to follow. The proverb amor fati, which means the love of one's fate, exhorts us to accept and welcome all that life has to offer, good and bad. Amor fati encourages us to embrace our obstacles and see them as essential components of our journey, rather than to oppose or bemoan them. This idea was shown by Marcus Aurelius, who overcame many hardships during his reign by embracing and making the most of his circumstances, no matter how difficult they were. This Stoic maxim is a reflection of the knowledge of earlier philosophers, such as Aristotle, who held that conditions in life are not the source of virtue and happiness, but rather the acceptance and excellent pursuit of one's conditions. As social creatures, the well-being of our community is intrinsically tied to our own, according to the Stoics. Aiming to further the common good requires us to acknowledge our interdependence and mutual accountability. It's a call to live moral lives, make meaningful contributions to society, and think about how our activities affect other people. This Stoic ideal is reflected in Plato's ideal society, where everyone contributes to the common good. It serves as a reminder that real fulfillment comes from improving the lives of others rather than from pursuing goals that are only focused on ourselves. Memento mori, or the discipline of remembering our mortality, is arguably one of the most potent somber reminders. This slogan is not morbid at all. Rather, it serves as a strong inspiration to live life to the fullest. Give priority to what matters most and let go of unimportant worries. The understanding of death, according to Marcus Aurelius and other Stoics, is a tool for appreciating life and seizing each moment. Socrates, who believed that a life without reflection is unworthy of being lived, echoed this viewpoint, suggesting that a life without awareness of its limitations is devoid of depth and significance. By adopting these Stoic mantras into our daily lives, we are invited to create lives that are more resilient, joyful, and purposeful. Amor fati exhorts us to see the good in everything that occurs to us and to turn setbacks into chances for personal development. By extending our search of happiness beyond our own wants, the emphasis on serving the common good improves our lives by enhancing the lives of others. With the knowledge that our time is limited, memento mori serves as a powerful reminder to live intentionally, love profoundly, act gently, and concentrate on the important things in life. Recall that life is a journey full of wonder and difficulties, and how we choose to travel through it defines who we are. In order to build a meaningful present and an exciting future, let's embrace the wisdom of the past and actually live, not merely exist. Should this message have resonated with you, I urge you to delve deeper. View the recommended videos displayed on the screen to advance your quest for understanding, fortitude, and contentment. Let us walk the path of virtue together, led by the everlasting light of Stoic knowledge. We appreciate your participation in Stoic Journal. Until we meet again, continue building your inner stronghold